Greetings.
We come in peace.
And welcome to Here to Chew Bubblegum. Before I forget, let me say this first, or I'll forget it because I don't have it wrote down.
Okay.
The format for the show will be a little different this week because we do have an interview. We have Elliot's articles, so we're going to be mixing things up a little bit. So
you can't just change it up on me right at the beginning.
Sorry, man.
You got to like give me a little bit of time to get used to this.
I had to. So hopefully we'll get everything fit in. This will probably be a very long show.
This is going to be a circus.
So, no,
chaotic.
No. It is never chaotic.
It's
the way that we're there you go. Now I will take that. And before we get going to the phone lines to call in are currently down.
Yes.
You just made a post on Facebook. Thank you very much for that.
I did. And, going forward from here, we usually try to record around the same time every week. So when you see the post, I know some people don't really see them till later. But, if you want to call into the show or text the show or comment the show or whatever, you can. You can kind of get an idea of what time we are recording, and you can just message anyway.
Exactly. Next week, we will be calling some people live back on the show. I was wanting to do that this week, or live as we record the show.
Yes.
I was wanting to do that this week. We're not going to be able to do the phone line issue, but we're also looking at some other platforms that we can maybe do live and take calls.
Okay.
I know we do have a Podbean account. I know we can go live on there. I've not played with it a whole lot. Well, that sounded vulgar. I've not researched Podbean a whole lot. Or
you've not played with Podbean, but you have played with other things today. Is that what you're saying?
No, not today because I slept. How
you feel about that?
I don't know. You
right away.
You caught me off guard there. How was things at the cookie factory for you this week?
Listen, it has been. It has been okay. It's been pretty good. It's a very cold morning.
Yes, it is. But we didn't get the 4 inches of snow that we were supposed to get.
No, we didn't.
And I know you hate that, but I am glad of that.
It all just rained forever. And I stayed up late last night trying to watch for it because I wanted to send you a picture at like whatever time, 2:00 this morning, and be like,
okay. Well, see, now when we do get a snow next time, and if you can do this, we will post this on the Facebook page. Go out and write my name in yellow, write Goose in yellow in the snow.
I can do that.
Okay, and we will post that pic on our Facebook page.
Do you want me to do a live video as I'm doing it?
No,
okay.
No, definitely not. Thanks for me this week. I had a week's worth of training with cookie factory stuff.
Well, yeah,
I finally know the secret to putting the chocolate chips into the cookies.
Are you going to tell us?
No, I had to sign a non-disclosure form. Our instructor, Ernie, he wore a green suit all week. I think it was the same one.
Does he live in a tree?
He didn't say where he lived, but I was sitting in the back of the class because I'm one of those guys that like to get there first, and I get the seat in the back. He was a little hard to see from time to time. So
you're one of the cool guys. Always sit in the back of the bus. Always sit in the back of the school. Always sit in the back of the.
Well, yeah, yes, I always did sit in the back of the bus.
Cool guys.
Well, I thought that's where like the troublemakers and stuff sat.
No, that's where the people with
the people that just don't care.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
You're too cool for school.
Well, yeah, definitely. So, but yeah, I mean, I am glad to have that week of training over.
Well, other than that, how was it this week? Good.
It was good. I got to eat at some restaurants that I don't normally get to eat at for dinner, so that was really good. They just some of the stuff that they do dealing with Pop-Tarts. I mean, and Ernie actually nicknamed one guy in the class Pop-Tart. So he did that like on Tuesday. So everybody,
So with did you get any new secret recipes, or are they coming out with new flavors anytime soon?
You work at the cookie factory too.
Well, but I didn't go for some special training.
But that's because you're not in management like me.
Listen.
Not
everybody.
If you would quit crawling in the ovens and getting stuck, you might have a chance to advance up the management ladder.
I will never do that. We'll never do that.
Okay.
You're hearing it right here on Here to Chew Bubblegum first. I will never stop climbing in those ovens.
Well, hey, I don't blame you one bit.
I love raw cookie dough.
Just make sure the oven is turned off next time.
Okay.
So
yeah, I got a little sweaty in there.
Yeah.
Listen, if you have some cookies and they taste a little weird, that's some Cronkite sweat for you.
No, I actually did stop yesterday, and I bought some Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah.
So they were selling them beside the road, and I actually did a U-turn. I went back, and I got 5 boxes of the peanut butter ones. Those are the ones that I like.
Those are the best ones. So, well, I don't know. Have you had the?
Oh,
that's the only ones you like.
Yes.
Okay.
That is it.
That's it.
I am old school, and I've already ate 2 boxes of them since yesterday.
The lemons are good.
Yeah, those are okay, but I mean, in the cookie ones, you only get like 7, maybe in a pack. So you've got like 14 cookies in one box, and I can eat that at one setting, and I did twice yesterday. So,
well, that'll happen. But no, I will. Listen, it takes all kinds to make this world go around. It takes upper management to get the secrets of the cookie factory. Yeah. It takes people like me who
clean out the ovens,
and among other things.
Make sure everything's packaged.
Yes. Well, I'm not made it to that level yet. I
thought that you were a package man, that you check everybody's package.
I was for about 15 minutes, and I got fired.
Oh, really? Why?
I misread the job description.
Oh, okay. Got you.
I was checking packages, but wrong packages.
Oh, got you. Okay. We're going to start out with some listener email. I'll start out if that's fine with you.
Sure.
Mine's just short. It says, Gina from West Virginia says, hey, Goose, have you had any responses on your records request into the Paintsville, Kentucky versus UFO case, Roswell?
That's a good question.
The answer to that is no. I have not had any responses.
Well, you're telling me that a large corporation and the federal government have swept you under the rug and not given you information about a UFO incident?
Yes, they have not. I mean, I had the first 2 responses, and I really didn't expect to get any more. Because they stressed, the COVID and, this would suffice for the time being to meet the deadline, and they would look into it. And if they found anything, I would get those records. But, maybe we'll go out and when it warms up, try to find the location where this could have happened at. We'll do a little research. We may even go live on YouTube or YouTube and Facebook. Try to find the location, just, to see what we find out.
Well, and also it can't be just someone has to know someone that was involved in this that listens to our show.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you do, we don't want to know names. We don't want to know anything like that, but we do want to talk to you because it would be so cool.
Yes.
I just want to know.
And you can even email us. You don't have to tell us who you are. You can email us. You can, we've had people in the past text us from like an online type thing.
Yep.
Some crazy stuff. So get on there and look up, hey, how to text people from online. So when you get done there, he's looking at our Facebook post.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with it in case somebody comments on it.
Gotcha. You want to go ahead and read your first listener email?
Sure. So Gypsy from undisclosed location.
She wrote last week.
Yeah, she talked to us last week.
Yes.
Hello, Goose, Cronkite, and Ned. Thank you, Cronkite, for reading my message last week. I'm not sure I should call in. I'm afraid if I do, I'll be met with ridicule and laughter. I know that my story is hard to believe, but it's true. If any others are experiencing the same as me, please write into the show. What I will say there, Gypsy, is this show is about the unknown. It is about UFOs, paranormal,
time travel, other dimensions,
portals, whatever. Some of the stuff we talk about on here, I mean, if a certified psychiatrist were to listen to us, they might put us on a
Well, you have to speak for yourself there.
No. Well, what I'm saying is, Gypsy, if you've listened to the show, you know that I have always talked about how I feel that everything is connected on some level of energy, or I don't know, maybe some people might call it a spiritual plane or energy level or something like that. So no, I would never meet a story like that with ridicule. In fact, I would love to pick your brain about the science behind, some of the stuff, the
right. Now, sorry, if you heard the mic thing, my finger hit the mic. And if somebody's listening now that didn't listen to last week's show, and she wrote in last week, we don't have that email saved, but she basically said that she was from a different time. She was, Ann Neville or something like that?
No, what is it? Was this one about the different time, or was that one about the...
I think Gypsy was the one that has... And I can go back and look in our emails.
I have, if you can kill a few minutes, I can run and grab.
Well, sure, run and grab it, and I will read another email while Cronkite makes his way through the bunker. Scotty from Florida says, "Hey, here to chew bubblegum. Long-time listener, first time writing in. Goose, when you were reading the email from Cronkite Lover and ended with Love Steven, I laughed my ass off. I could hear the shock in Cronkite's voice. Thanks for making me laugh and entertaining me, Roswell." I wish I had saved that one for when Cronkite was sitting here beside me. But Scotty from Florida, thank you very much for writing in. Yes, I could tell my partner in crime, Cronkite, was enjoying that email, and so I had to just ad-lib and throw the Love Steven part in at the end last week. And when I ended with that, the look on his face was priceless. I threw him for a loop. Let's see. And Cronkite is making his way back in. And the email I just read was about you and last week, so right. You have to listen to the playback.
Okay.
So,
that's exciting.
Scotty from Florida. So you have last week's, and it was a text last week.
It was a text, yes. Okay. I apologize for that. I didn't realize we were going to be needing this.
Yeah, that's no problem.
So Gypsy says, from last week's episode, says, "I have no clue if this is the right place to put memories of past lives here, but it does say the afterlife, and I believe when you die, you come back as another person, and so on and so on. I always had dreams of having a life in the Middle Ages, particularly the Wars of the Roses era. I was the daughter of Richard Neville and Anne Neville. I would like to share memories. Please, no judgment, and I will post more memories as I go along." Okay, so the past lives.
And she wasn't saying she was Anne Neville, but I just remembered the name Anne.
But yeah, no. I don't know. Have you ever had a dream where you're in a different time?
Yes, I have.
So I mean, I'd be fascinated to hear more about this. To be honest with you, Gypsy, if you would like to call in, we would definitely like to talk to you.
Yeah, definitely.
And I would love to know the, what you know about past life. I guess regression is what it's called, or something like that, and reincarnation, stuff like that. So please write in and talk to us.
Sounds good to me. You wanna read your next one there?
Sure. Lisa from Kentucky says, "I just wanted to say I like the show and look forward to the Jon Vance interview, Roswell." And
that interview will be coming up in this show. Mm-hmm. It's a couple of segments away, but we'll be having that very soon. Kelly from Oregon says, "Hey, Goose and Cronkite, what are your thoughts on the recent sighting in North Carolina? I know that you briefly mentioned it on last week's show, but I was wondering what your thoughts were. Do you think it's a not-from-this-world UFO or man-made UFO? From what I've read, and I didn't read a whole lot on it, I did see some still pictures from the video. Mm-hmm. Just on that, briefly, to me, it looked like not-of-this-world UFO.
Yeah, they were almost flying in a weird formation, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
And it was like a light flickering. It was like a flame was flickering.
Right.
Kind of thing. I think even the news story I talked about says it was something like that. Yeah. But North Carolina has been in the news a lot lately for UFO sightings. So, I mean,
you know why too? I mean, this is just my thoughts. They're on the seaboard. They're mm-hmm. close to the ocean.
Sure.
So,
how close? The 37th parallel, are they on that line?
I don't think they are, and that's funny that you mentioned that because on my downtime this week, when I was back at the hotel, mm-hmm. From training this week, I actually started looking into the 37th parallel a little bit, and that's something that we'll be talking about very soon. Some of the sites, and I don't know a whole lot about the 37th parallel. Some of the sites that I saw, mm-hmm. it runs right through where we live at.
Yeah.
All right. And, the line going down, and it corresponds with the Mammoth Cave and all the way out to Area 51 and all of that. And then others showed it going just above us a little bit towards the Ashland area. So, I am going to do some more research, and that is something that we would definitely talk about on a future show.
Good deal.
So,
are you done?
Yes.
Are you done over there?
What do you mean?
Do you want me to read mine? Or?
Yes.
Or have you got more?
No, I have more, but you go ahead and take your turn now.
Didn't I just read?
No, I read the Oregon, and
I read Lisa.
You read Lisa. And I said the Jon Vance interview's coming up. So it is my turn.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay.
I thought I was going crazy for a second. I was just trying to be
Got you.
I was just trying to be polite.
Got you. Taylor from Kentucky says, Hey, Goose. Hey, Goose. Hey, Goose, Cronkite, and Ned. I watched the Bob Lazar Area 51 and Flying Saucers on Netflix. That's the name of it. Bob Lazar Area 51 and Flying Saucers on Netflix after last week's show. My mind was blown. Bob is 100% telling the truth. It's an amazing documentary. Think about how the government has been lying to us all these years. Just imagine what other secrets they might be keeping. We need more people like Bob Lazar.
Absolutely.
And that's from Taylor from Kentucky, and I 110% agree with you on that.
Could not agree more. AlphaFan86 from Indiana. Hi, guys. I'm curious if you had to choose one of the following, which would you choose and why? Know for certain that UFOs exist, $1 million cash, or $1 million cash. Thanks for taking time to answer my question, and I'll listen to the show for your response. I know that UFOs exist, so I'm going to take the $1 million cash.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but what? Okay. Well, know for certain that UFOs exist. I mean, would that let us into government secrets?
No. The way I read it is just that you have the knowledge now that, hey, there are UFOs. But for unidentified flying objects, so they do exist because a bird could be a UFO.
Okay. So this, by choosing between these, we wouldn't know any inside government knowledge.
No. Okay. The way I read it.
Well, I'm going to agree with you, and I'll take the $1 million cash.
There we go.
If that would let us know some inside stuff, I would know about the UFOs.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but in the way you're reading it, I would take the $1 million cash.
Absolutely. Well, money buys happiness.
Did you read that part?
I did.
Okay. All right. Let's see. My last one, and you've got some more, so good. You get to read more. Roboto 82.
Nice name.
From South Carolina. I've listened to you guys for a few weeks now. I agree with you in regards to more UFO sightings over bodies of water, power plants, and military bases. Why do you think that is, Roswell?
Well, I've touched on it a little bit before. I think, if you were a species, and even we as a species have talked about when we step out further into the cosmos, the one thing that we're going to need to find is resources.
Exactly.
Water, air, minerals, metals, whatever. Our planet is what, 71, 75, something like that % water.
Yeah.
That's like one of the major things that you need for life. I feel like if you're going to be searching around, looking around the cosmos, and you come across this big, beautiful blue planet that's full of water, you're going to stay around the water, especially if you're... What if we're just a gas station?
What do you mean, for like other planets, we're a gas station?
Yeah.
Well, and they pick cattle as like, I'm going to get something from the deli.
Maybe
Let me swoop down and...
Yeah, maybe they like steak.
I've never thought of that way.
For a gas station.
We could be.
There's a lot of different crafts.
Now, I've heard people refer to you as a gas station before.
Definitely.
So.
Well, I'm not going to deny that.
Okay.
I'm not going to deny that. So, Skywatcher from Tennessee. Hello, here to Chew Bubblegum. Great show last week. I'm glad that Ned is back. Elliot's articles was great. I really enjoy the show and every aspect of it. My only suggestion would be to do some more live shows. Roswell.
Yep, and we were glad to have Ned back last week. And Ned is not here this week.
Yes, no, he's not here this week. He had another long night.
Another long night?
Yeah.
What was he doing, do you know?
I really do not.
Or are you not able to say?
I don't think it's PG that I could say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, just keep that to yourself then.
But yeah, no, he is missing in action this week.
Real quick too, I forgot to tell you, on Thursday we got out of class early, and so around 7:30 I drove out to the Bluegrass Army Depot. Just drove around to see if I could see anything in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what I saw?
Something in the sky.
Absolutely nothing.
Oh,
so
that's a letdown.
I just thought I'd share that.
Very excited to hear that story. Now I'm just bummed. Mr. X from Parts Unknown. Great show last week. I really like the Truth Is Out There series. You should do at least one a month. I also find the Lost Treasure stories very intriguing. You guys should attempt to find one. I think that would make for a great YouTube videos.
I'm down for that.
I would definitely be down for it as long as there's no walking.
You can't drive up to some of these spots.
Why not?
What if we hire a helicopter
I'm fine with that.
to come in and just
home me
and just set you down once we get there?
I'm fine with that. You're
Okay.
going to need a big
All right.
helicopter.
Let me ask you a question. I don't think I've asked you this on the show before.
Okay.
Let's say we have an event. I tape that on there for you just so
Okay,
you
I
wouldn't.
appreciate that.
Let's say we have an event, okay, and you're in a crowd, and the government is going to send in a helicopter to rescue so many people.
Okay.
All right. What would you wear to get their attention to make them think that you could benefit them and you were saving from whatever catastrophe was about to hit?
What would I wear?
Yes.
I don't know.
I would wear a tuxedo, because if we're standing around and you're in a t-shirt and somebody else is in a t-shirt and jackets and I'm standing and I'm dressed in a tuxedo, they're going to think, damn, this guy is somebody.
Yeah.
We have to pick him up.
We have to save him.
So
Maybe a business suit and a suitcase, maybe, or not a suitcase, but a briefcase.
a briefcase?
Yeah.
Well, see, but I've still got you beat because I'm in a tux.
Wait. Maybe I'd put handcuff on the briefcase so they think this guy's got some secrets. We need to save him.
Where are you going to find handcuffs at?
There's a interesting shop just down the road.
Oh, okay. Yes,
I'll just have to peel the fuzzies off of them.
I am familiar with the shop you're talking about, and I understand you're one of the best customers.
Yeah, I've got a frequent flyer card. There. I'll just have to peel the fuzzies off, and we'll be fine.
Oh, well, you thank everyone for writing in with listener email. You can always contact us at the show by call, text, or leave a voicemail by calling 606-373-3396, or you can email us at...
You can always email us, Goose at HereToChewBubblegum.com, or myself, Cronkite at HereToChewBubblegum.com. You can also message our Facebook page. Any comment on any of our posts, message us directly, and we will get back to you ASAP.
And with that in mind, we're going to step away and take a short break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about John Titor, and then we're going to have news with Cronkite.
Exciting.
So, see, we're mixing things up this week.
Exciting.
So, what are they listening to?
They are listening to HereToChewBubblegum.com. What are you listening to?
I am preparing here to chewbubblegum.com. We'll be right. Hey everyone, this is Goose from Here to Chew Bubblegum. I want to tell you about my friend T-Shirt Joe at FastCustomShirts.com. T-Shirt Joe is your go-to guy for all your custom work. Also, you can check out their website and find artist originals, college shirts, comics, famous folk, fetish, military, movie shirts, occupations, podcast and website shirts, plus he has face masks and many other items over at FastCustomShirts.com. While there at their website, you can sign up for their newsletter. Or you can give Joe a call at area code 361-814-9212. That's 361-814-9212 to contact my friend T-Shirt Joe at FastCustomShirts.com.
Hey folks, it's John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and you're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. You will not be disappointed. Check it out.
And welcome back, Cronkite. We're going to talk about John Titor. What do you think about John Titor?
I'm excited to hear what you're getting ready to tell me.
Now, how familiar are you with the John Titor story?
Not
Okay.
very.
I did follow this, I guess, in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
I was committed to listening to Coast to Coast. I heard about it on an old Coast to Coast when they were playing back some of the Art Bell ones. And then they had an update, I think, that following week. But anyway, we've had a lot of people message about this. Those who are not familiar with John Titor, his original post was on, I think it was on the Coast to Coast message board. I don't even think that exists anymore. I'm not real sure. But on November 2nd, 2000, he wrote, "Greetings. I am a time traveler from the year 2036. I am on my way home after getting an IBM 5100 computer system from the year 1975. Titor claimed he was a member of a military group living in Florida and on his way back from the year 1975 and was stopping over in 2000 for some personal reasons. Now, what I find fascinating about that is it is 100% fact there were secret programming codes that the public did not know about that you could do on an IBM 5100 in 1975. Those were never released. Only people that worked on the software and worked for IBM knew that these existed. Wow. So, if he's not real, and this whole thing's made up, it has to be somebody that was affiliated or knew somebody that was affiliated with IBM. Mm-hmm. Okay, John Titor, and he used that name on several message boards. He posted during 2000 and 2001, claiming to be a military time traveler from the year 2036. During this time, he made numerous vague and specific predictions regarding horrendous events from 2004 and beyond, including a nuclear war. None of his predictions came true. And people said in 2009, after an investigation, that the whole John Titor thing was a hoax and was likely the creation of Larry Haber, a Florida entertainment lawyer, along with his brother Maury, a computer scientist. Mm-hmm. So there is your computer thing.
Yeah.
Up until, I guess, 2010, I did think it was possible for the John Titor thing. Something fascinating. He did leave documents of his time machine. He even took still pictures and posted it. It was basically a box. And since then, I don't remember what year, but somebody got a patent on what he, because he even had a drawing of it. They patented what he described, and they did get a patent on that.
Oh, wow.
So, I don't know if they've ever tried it. I don't think it would work.
Well, now, so his predictions didn't come true.
No.
But just traveling back in time to bring it back a computer and then even telling about the predictions, wouldn't that change the course of the timeline?
According to him, no, because the story also says that when he stopped back in 2000, he was staying with his family, and he was a little kid during this time, and he interacted with his past self. So, and he said it has no effect. Let's see. His time machine was discussed as being 6 parts. Let's see. It took 6 parts. A second thread also made due to shortcomings on the form and the software at the time. Let's see. John Titor. Art Bell heard about this story in 2001 and attempted to get people on the show. John Titor was gone at that point, but Titor did end his post in late March 2001. I think Art Bell did have some past guests that supposedly knew or interacted with John Titor. Around 2003, various websites reproduced Titor's post. They were rearranging them into specific narratives to make it sound like it was true. I know some of the things that he did say is that I think it was in 2006 or 8 maybe, there would be you would have no more president. You would have 5 presidents that where all the tree huggers, all the
let's see how many toes we can step on today, Goose.
Crunch, crunch. I can't think of what is it where the ice caps are melting?
The climate?
Yeah.
Climate control?
Climate change. Okay. He was saying that, and I don't know why I couldn't think of that.
Tree huggers.
Crunch, crunch. Same thing. Tree huggers, climate people. Let's all drive in our flower vans. Here, you want a flower? But he said that Washington had been underwater due to an earthquake and climate change, and that the capital, I think, was in Omaha, Nebraska. So, and this is stuff that I'm just saying from memory, not what I've printed off here. But he claimed that in 2036, he was an American soldier based in Tampa, Florida. In his Regiment gave him the mission to go back to 1975 to get the computer, which he said was needed to debug various legacy programs in the year 2036. So imagine you're in 2036 and your software is not good enough. You can't debug. You need a computer from 1975.
Got to go back in time.
Got to go back in time.
Grab that old IBM.
The IBM computer did run on APL and basic programming languages. So that just,
In 1975.
In 1975.
Weren't computers like the size of a kitchen table?
Some of the IBMs, those were the ones that you would basically, I think, have to hook up to like an old TV screen. You had they were probably the size of that shredder over there, you know. They were big, and they wouldn't hold a lot of data.
But they can save the world in 2036.
Yep, save the world in 2036. John Titor also claimed that, and this is kind of a broad predicament, I can make this, that a disease would spread through the world that originated from tainted beef products.
Or bats?
So, well, no, he said tainted beef.
Oh.
So, and he also said that there would be a civil war. When questioned about more of his predictions from an online subscriber, Titor also expressed interest in mysteries such as UFOs, which he claimed remained unexplained in his time. So, in 2036, UFOs are unexplained. Titor suggested that UFOs and extraterrestrials might be travelers from much further into the future than his own timeline and have superior time machines. I do not buy that. Are you wondering about his time machine?
Yes.
It was 2 magnetic housing units for the dual micro singularities, an electron injection manifold to alter mass and gravity of the micro singularities, and it also had a cooling and X-ray venting system, gravity sensors, and a variable gravity lock. It also had 4 Sesame clocks and 3 main computer units. Did you follow all that? Did you really?
You know where you got all that from?
To 2036.
2036. But I'm sure Bob Lazar's nuclear hardware store is still around.
Well, and you could be correct.
I think he got all that from
now. Guess what he arrived in? Because the device was installed in a vehicle, and it was installed in a 1966 Chevy Corvette convertible.
Well,
yes. And he later mentioned also having a 1987 truck that had 4-wheel drive. That was also, he also had another unit involved in that.
This is just some random jackwagon from Florida, isn't it? That sounds like some guy from Florida.
That's honestly what I thought. I mean, especially
I got my 87 Chevrolet. We got
and you got an entertainment law. You're in like a 1966 Chevy Corvette. That'd be a classic car.
Yeah.
So, and some of his predictions, let's see. Titor expressed assurances that the differences in his timeline and ours were minimal, and let's see, he did say that of civil war going to having to do with rights, order, and other things. He also said that the presidential election of the year would involve a Waco type event, and that's where it was 2008. Okay, would be pretty much at everybody's doorstep. And now he said in 2008 that after that president was elected, you wouldn't have one person, you would have 5. You'd have 5 presidents. Titor also claimed that the Civil War started in the United States and it ended in 2015, but it ended due to a brief but intense World War III.
Wow.
Let's see. After the war, Omaha, Nebraska, this is what I was telling you about, would be the new U.S. capital. Titor was vague on the exact motivations and causes of World War III, but at one point he was characterized as saying hostilities were being led to border clashes and overpopulation. He also pointed out that the conflict between Arabs and Israel, and it says Arabs, so I'm not being like stepping on toes there, crunch, crunch. That also led to World War III. During this time, Titor claimed that as a 13-year-old in 2011, he joined the Fighting Diamondbacks, a shotgun infantry unit in Florida.
I'm sorry, do what?
I had to pause there so you could look at your face. All right.
What is it?
Titor claimed that as a 13-year-old in 2011, he joined the Fighting Diamondbacks, a shotgun infantry unit in Florida, for at least 4 years. Another post, he described himself as hiding from the war. So in 2011, Titor was supposedly 13. Are you actually looking up shotgun or Fighting Diamondbacks?
John Titor's Fighting Diamondbacks militia is real.
Yeah, sure it is.
That's what it says.
But that's from 2011. See,
sure.
I mean, to me, when I first read that years ago, I thought, that's a baseball team, the Fighting Diamondbacks. Let's see. Titor claimed that Everett Wheeler model of quantum physics is what helped him time travel. Let's see. Titor also claimed that a new time stream to and from 2036 to 2000 was activated because of his time travel. He also gave predictions on ability to stand up to scrutiny when they fail to pass, since believers can say that the events weren't adapted by Titor's postings. Basically, all right, that's the Titor stuff in a nutshell. What do you think about that? He didn't predict 9/11. His last post was in March 2001. All right, why would you not predict 9/11? Now, people point out that follow and study John Titor. They say that the reason he didn't do that is because it didn't happen in his timeline.
He said our timeline and his timeline were very similar.
Well, they were similar, but there was differences. So, and he even said before he started making predictions that some of these stuff might not happen in this timeline. But to me, that sounds like something a lawyer would say.
Why would it not happen in his timeline if he went back and interacted with himself? That's alive in this timeline.
But it's two different, parallel timelines. That's what he was claiming.
I'm not smart enough to wrap my head around
So,
this. That's I think what we're looking
me, honestly, I used to find it fascinating just to read about it, especially in the early and mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Because, you would look at stuff like this that would possibly happen. Mm-hmm. I don't think that the Fighting Diamondbacks are real. I mean, they may be real now,
right,
since he made that claim, but that one article you pulled up was from 2011.
And that's supposedly when it was.
And that was 10 years ago.
Right.
So, what's your thoughts on John Titor? The only thing that I do find fascinating about that is that the IBM computer. That was 100% legit, but the entertainment lawyer's brother was a and still is a computer scientist.
It's a good story. It's,
definitely. Well, there was actually thoughts of making it into a movie.
So that would be cool.
So
I'd watch that movie.
I'd
definitely watch that movie. But as far as that goes, I'm more likely to believe in. I believe in UFOs more than I think I do time travel right now.
Well,
even though
I don't believe in that specific time traveler.
Even though we did an entire segment on Trump time travelers and things like that, I am.
Well, honestly, to me, if you compare John Titor to the Trump time traveler, the Trump time traveler and Elon Musk and Nikola Tesla connection has more facts than what the John Titor does, and it's more believable to me than the John Titor one.
It is to me, to me too. That's a good story. John Titor is a good story.
You like that path down there?
Huh?
You like that pet cemetery? You like that path down there?
Oh, I couldn't understand what you said.
There's a good story. That's because I'm doing Jed Colonel.
I got you.
You like that path down there? That's a good walk. There's a good story. I'll tell it to you sometime.
I like I said, I think it's a good story, but other than that, I don't.
You don't buy it either.
I don't think so.
I don't either. And years ago, I was fascinated with it. I didn't buy into it, especially because none of his predictions came true. Right. There might have been some conflict with Israel and stuff, but I could sit here today and say, hey, I think in 6 months there's going to be conflict in the Middle East.
Listen, there's been conflict in the Middle East
since the
50s.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
They're still fighting the Crusades.
So, bottom line, I think the John Titor stuff is 100% hoax.
I do too. I agree with you on that.
Well, moving on. Like I said, we're doing things different right now. This part of the show, we are going to actually have news with Cronkite. you want me to go ahead and play your intro music? It's news with Cronkite. Cronkite, tell me some news. It's news. There you go.
That's better than the country music.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we actually had an email, and you did too. They like the country music. So, you have no comment on that?
No.
Okay.
It's
But it is time for news with Cronkite on Here to Chew Bubblegum.
I'm Cronkite, and I'm going to chew some bubblegum.
There you go.
What do you think about that?
There you go.
So this is the one about the Charlotte, the UFOs over Charlotte. So it says a string of lights seen in the sky near Charlotte sparks UFO debate. And there's a question. What was it?
It was a UFO.
That's what it says. I don't know. Multiple people have reported seeing an odd string of lights at night near Charlotte, igniting talk of UFOs on social media. Photos shared Saturday on Facebook. Now, keep in mind, this has been 2 weeks now. I think.
Right.
Photos shared on Facebook Saturday show what appears to be a string of lights floating over North Carolina's Indian Trail community. The area is in Union County, just southeast of Charlotte. Anyone know what these lights were tonight? Alyssa Homewood asked on the What's Up Indian Trail community Facebook page.
You know who else is from Charlotte, right?
Who's that?
Woo!
Ric Flair.
There you go.
I know Ric Flair. No sound at all. They flickered like lanterns, but followed the same exact path up until they disappeared, which was odd. Homewood told the Charlotte Observer the lights resembled how a flame would look flickering in the dark. See, that's what I said earlier. It was
right.
Yeah. My initial thought was when I seen the lights, it was helicopters in the distance, but as the lights got closer, there was no sound. When they went straight up into the sky and disappeared, no smoke, no debris, she said. I couldn't see anything around the light to suggest that they were or were not lanterns, but the light flickered like you would imagine a lantern to look. At least one person posted on social media that lanterns were released last week in the county as part of a memorial, but it happened the day before Homewood's sighting. Equally strange is a trio of lights that glowed blue in Homewood's photos. Homewood, who lives in Monroe, has no explanation for that, though it's possibly a trick of light. The blue light I didn't notice until after I looked at the pictures. In the sky, it did not look blue. It looked like a group of bright lights. So this Facebook group has more than 20,000 members, and a few hundred people have reacted to Homewood's post. Several have mentioned UFOs, while others say it could have been flares, lanterns, drones, or Starlink satellites launched by SpaceX. I don't think it was satellites because we've seen the satellites.
No, yeah, and I mean, they would have told people on the news,
yeah,
hey, this is satellites, don't be alarmed.
Exactly. A growing number say they too have seen odd lights at night in Union County, including one person who shared a shaky video of her experience. Yeah, we saw them and couldn't figure out what they were. A Charlotte woman posted, "They did flicker, but how big were those lanterns then for us to see it so bright and so clear from so far away?" So North Carolina ranks among the highest, ranks high among states with the most reported UFO sightings. We've talked about that before. Many of them off of the Outer Banks, close to the ocean.
Yep.
The Mutual UFO Network reported this month that the state had 15 UFO sightings in December, ranking at number 7 among the 50 states. As for other possibilities, Union is among the counties included for unconventional warfare exercises staged by the Special Forces based out of Fort Bragg. Flyers are part of exercises, the Army says, but the most recent exercises end in December 18th, according to the U.S. Army John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center. While Homewood never brought up aliens or UFOs, she braced herself to be criticized for sharing the photos. But most commenters have seemed to be genuinely interested in the puzzle. After posting a few jokes about aliens not finding intelligent life here. Facts. So, have you ever seen those lanterns that you light?
Yeah, you light and you fly up.
I mean, it could be those, but
I don't think that would be. I mean, because I personally did that. When my father passed away, we set some off, and I've set some off again. You can tell. I mean, honestly.
Well, they have different colors too.
Well,
they're not just like one
white, but
right.
Yeah, that like you said when we were reading the email, the pattern was different.
Right.
And
they all follow the same pattern.
Yeah.
Once you start getting to altitude, those winds are different. So
yeah,
you would think that they would blow.
Well, I mean, and those do go up high, but they they burn out rather quickly. You know, within 3 to 5 minutes.
Sure.
You know, have you ever let one?
Yeah,
lantern? Have you ever?
Oh no, I'm not.
Let me rephrase that. Have you ever had one of those lanterns and let it go up in the air? Okay.
Yes.
And what after 3 to 5 minutes? I mean, you know.
Yeah, and once it got probably above 100 feet, it started drifting, blowing away because the winds are
blowing it.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely it's interesting. I'm not sure. All right, so. But you know, at the same time, you know, North Carolina is a hotbed for that kind of stuff.
Yes, it is.
So I'm going to save this one for the last one because it's a rather long one.
Okay, that's what she said.
Yeah, quarantining with a ghost. It's scary. That's what the article says.
Did Gypsy write this one?
No. For those who believe they're locked down with spectral roommates, the pandemic has been less isolating than they bargained for, or has been less isolating than they bargained for. It started with the front door. Adrian Gomez lives with his partner in Los Angeles, where their first few days of sheltering in place for the coronavirus pandemic proved uneventful. They worked remotely, baked, took a 2-mile walk each morning, and refurnished their porcelain kitchen sink.
Oh,
But
how
then,
nice.
But then one night, the doorknob began to rattle vigorously, so loud he could hear it from across the apartment, yet no one was there. In mid-April, Mr. Gomez was in bed when a nearby window shade began shaking against the window frame so intensely, despite the fact the window was closed, an adjacent window shade remained perfectly still. The cats were all accounted for, and no bug, nor bird, nor any other small creature had gotten stuck there. I very seriously hid myself under the comforter, like you see in the horror movies, because it really freaked me out. Now those.
I'm sorry, man. I apologize.
Now, though neither he or his partner noticed any unexplained activity at his home before this, the couple can distinctly make out footsteps above their head. No one lives above them. I'm a fairly rational person, said Mr. Gomez, who is 26 and works in IT support. I try to think what are the reasonable, tangible things this could be causing this. But when I don't have those answers, I start to think maybe something else is going on. They're not alone, possibly in more ways than one.
Okay.
For those who experience of self-isolation involves what they believe to be a ghost, their days are punctuated not just by Zoom meetings or homeschooling, but by the disembodied voices, shadowy figures, misbehaving electronics, invisible cats cozying up on couches, caresses from hands that aren't there, and even in some cases, to borrow the technical parlance of Ghostbusters, free-floating, full-torso, vaporous apparitions. Some of these people are frightened, of course. Others say they just appreciate the company.
Do they have pictures of those? Okay, now, we've talked about ghost stuff a little bit. You know, and I will believe until something happens to me that they cannot physically hurt you. And I have saw things, all right? Even though I laughed at that, and that was funny. I mean, I was just thinking all the cats accounted for,
right?
And you know, I was under the cover. That made me giggle a little bit. In my research into paranormal, if you move into a place and let's say you remodel, that awakens or angers something that's there, and they remodeled their kitchen,
right? Oh,
so you know, and that could have disturbed something.
Very true.
And it, you know, that could be true.
Very true. Very true.
What's your thoughts?
If they're in California, it could be earthquakes.
It could be, but then why would they have the covers over their heads? You know,
scared.
You know, I mean, and I'm an animal lover. I like dogs, cats. I'm more of a dog person. But when somebody says they got a cat, I just always kind of giggle. You know? You know why, right? There's that joke, you know, that this man and woman get married and the husband comes in one day and the wife's got some cats and he's like, oh, that's what this house needed was a box of shit. We didn't have one. So that always cracks me up, you know, and I always think about that.
That is really funny. All right. So we had a email or a listener text a while back from a guy in Australia that wanted to talk about.
I think it was an email.
Okay. Wanted to talk about the Kelly Cahill
Yes.
UFO abduction. So that's what we're going to talk about today is the Holy Grail or epic hoax. Australian Kelly Cahill's UFO abduction story still stirs passions. And this is a rather long one, so brace yourself.
I am braced.
And this is why I only did 3 because this one was a little longer.
Okay.
If her story is to be believed, on August 7th, 1993, Gippsland woman, I think that's how you pronounce it, Gippsland woman Kelly Cahill saw UFO and beings from another world. As detailed in her book in 1996, Encounter, Miss Cahill's case had all the hallmarks of the classic alien abduction story of the era. Lost time, strange spaceships, bright lights, inhuman creatures, and inexplicable marks on her body. But her story had something other alien visitations didn't. Independent witnesses who could potentially back up her story. Along with her then husband Andrew, who was in the car with her on that fateful night on Melbourne's southeastern fringes, there were reportedly 4 other people in 2 separate cars who would be able to verify her otherworldly claims. Because of its multiple witnesses, the incident was hailed as the Holy Grail of alien abduction. Kelly Cahill, as she appeared in her 1996 book, Encounter. So she was one of the potential. So all right. So this was this actually inspired a episode of the X-Files.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Encounter.
Yeah.
Available now.
And
at Barnes and Noble.
There's her picture if you haven't seen her. It was one of the potential. But on. Sorry, I lost my place here. But 27 years on, the truth about the so-called. That's a big one.
Yes.
Umemmering Creek encounter is anything but clear. A detailed report into the claims was never released. The other witnesses never came forward publicly, and Miss Cahill disappeared from the public view. So, was her encounter a missed opportunity or just another UFO hoax? So, according to her, she and her husband her then husband Andrew were driving along Belgrave Hallam Road in Narrwarren on that fateful winter's night in 1993. They were en route to a friend's house when Miss Cahill saw in a paddock a row of 5 or 6 large orange lights on a distinct circular shape, like nothing I'd ever seen before. She wrote in her book. When they arrived at their destination, her husband and friends, and eventually even Miss Cahill, laughed it off. But about midnight, driving home on the same road, she and Andrew apparently saw what she believed were the same lights hanging above the road. I could then see that the orange lights were really windows. I could make out figures standing behind the portals. The object flew off at an incredible speed, but soon after they saw it again in the paddock on the side of the road. After Miss Cahill's memories blanked, like a cut-to scene in a film, and their car had traveled several hundred meters down the road without them knowing. In the days and weeks that followed, she claimed to find strange marks on her body, including a small triangular wound below her belly button, and began experiencing stomach pains and night visitations from a tall, black hooded figure with lightly glowing red eyes. Through hypnosis, she said she was able to unlock her missing time. Her husband had pulled over, and they'd gotten out of the car to get a better look at the brightly lit object. Further back up the road, another car had parked, its occupants standing on the edge of the field, and Kelly Cahill's drawing of the beings she claimed to have encountered in Narrwarren, taken from her book Encounter, is a tall, thin-like figure that appeared in front of her, had glowing red eyes, all that. So, in her mind, she said, "Let's kill them."
No wonder her husband left her.
Yeah, a tall, thin figure appeared in front of the object, and Miss Cahill heard in her mind its thoughts.
Okay.
Heard its thoughts.
Okay.
Let's kill them.
Well, still, no wonder her husband left her.
More beings appeared, unleashing an energy force that knocked Miss Cahill to the ground as she screamed to her husband. "They've got no souls. They're evil. They're going to kill us." And that's where her recollections end, but not the story. So, Bill Chalker, a Sydney-based researcher in the UFO Investigation Center, was one of the first people that contacted Miss Cahill.
Get them, boys.
Says that her case is an extraordinary lost opportunity. Mr. Talker immediately thought it is a fairly important case, but one that required a lot of feet on the ground and a lot of intensive field investigation. Basically, there's just investigating it.
Right. Now you grinned at me when you said investigating it. And I can tell the more that you read that, are you thinking it's investigation or more ramblings from a mad woman? And there's no offense to our listener in Australia that recommended us looking into that.
It's I don't know. I mean, it's definitely interesting, but
if you had to believe her or John Titor, which one would you believe?
John Titor. So, all right. As for Kaylee Cahill, she dropped off the radar around 1998. Mr. Talker said that in the early 2000s, she called him and sent him all of her files, three large boxes, and left the country. She's now back in Latrobe Valley in Gippsland, the same region she was living in when her encounter occurred. The ABC approached Miss Cahill for an interview, but she did not respond. She really wanted to make a low profile and put all of this behind her. She spent a lot of time trying to raise the profile of this episode and wanted to have the other witnesses come out. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was based on,
And I think it's cool because X-Files thought it was cool and did a story on it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, they did.
I think I may remember that episode. I'm not really sure. But I think I may remember that. Speaking of Australia, and this has nothing to do with what you were talking about, but it does take place in Australia. Mm-hmm. I started watching yesterday a TV show on Netflix. It's an Australian-based TV show. It's called Glitch. Have you ever saw that?
I have not.
It is the story of these 7 people that come back to life. They dig themselves out of their graves, and they come back to life. It's really fascinating. If you have time, if our listeners have time, and you want something good to watch on Netflix, check out Glitch.
Okay. Let me read this one last piece of this. So this was during the investigation. So during their investigation, they took out newspaper articles and stuff like that to try to find the other witnesses. Remarkably, they got a response from a Mr. Alchetto, Mr. A.
Mr. A.
Yeah. Said the stories from the second car were identical to Miss Cahill's, but went even further, detailing experiences inside the mystery craft where they were strapped to a table and examined by the beings. According to the PRA, the women had the same triangular wounds near their navels as well as other strange marks. There was even talk of a third car driven by a local lawyer, whose story also lined up. The researchers began prepping an exhaustive 300-page report that promised to reveal the truth.
Now, let's see, that last part is fascinating, where there's other people saying that it happened to them too.
Yeah, so. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we can't really say that it's not true. I mean, because nobody's really. I mean, that's the thing. So when we can sit here and say we see lights in the sky, it's a UFO, blah blah blah, but when someone comes forward with an abduction story, a lot of people are quick to dismiss it. I don't know that it's not.
I have never been one quick to dismiss it. I read it as the article on a whole.
Well, no, I'm saying like the general public.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It never gets really any traction.
Definitely, I always try to keep an open mind. Like you said, I would believe John Titor over her, and I'm not saying that it didn't happen.
Yeah, no.
But I mean, if I was abducted, yeah, I would tell people. But would I want to write a book about it?
Right.
No, probably not.
Exactly.
Would I want to research and find out more? Definitely, 110%. But as far as making money off of it,
right.
I wouldn't do that.
And I would like to know if the other two cars that were behind them, if they all knew each other. If they did know each other, then that would make sense. It would make sense, like as far
that it's a hoax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they didn't know each other, that would maybe be a little different.
Right.
But like I said, the general public are quick to dismiss abduction stories, but will be the first ones to line up and be like, "What are these lights in the sky?" You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
It's one of those things. you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want to believe in UFOs, you can't
say that
you can't
your
just
abduction stuff didn't happen.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And also, if Miss Cahill's listening, don't try to monetize your experience. This is stuff that needs to be talked about. This is stuff that if this genuinely happened to you, let's talk about it. That hey, this is what happened. This is what they look like. This is what, and she made big, but like you said, she wrote a book to make money off of it.
And I don't know. I mean, I saw the movie Fire in the Sky, the Travis Walton. I've seen recently, and I guess this has been years ago. He was on some game show that I don't think he was on the air anymore, and they give him a lie detector test, and he failed it. I mean, I hadn't even heard of that. Now, Travis goes in depth and describes a lot of horrendous things. I was under the impression, and I think I heard this or read this, that he passed lie detector test when he came back. But, I may have just imagined that I read that. But I found it fascinating that, he had failed the lie detector test for this show.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's one of the famous ones, other than Betty and Barney Hill, that come to mind, on abduction stuff. So
no, I mean, thank you for that, listener.
Definitely, thank you.
To look into it. It is a fascinating story.
Definitely.
I would love. Dang, I wish you hadn't put that in my head.
What's that?
She wrote a book. She tried to monetize.
Well, I mean, just so you were falling for it until then.
To be honest with you, I want to believe everything.
Okay. All right. Well, you have a woman. She's divorced. Or
at the time she wasn't though.
Well, when she wrote the book, was she married or divorced?
Didn't say.
Okay. I'm going to go with she was divorced. You're looking for ways to make money. You find people. Hey, I write this book. Here's my files. Let's do this. And she probably got a kickback. Well, no, not probably. I'm sure that if they acknowledge that X-Files episode was based on her experience,
True.
She got some money from that.
Very true.
And she probably still this day gets a little bit back from that, due to residuals. I mean, it probably wouldn't be that much now. Maybe it depends on how often that episode plays, though.
Right.
So, maybe a couple $100 a year. So, hey, it's free money. If I seen $100 laying on the ground, I'd bend over and pick it up.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
But we're going to take a short break. Thank you very much for that news segment. When we come back, we're going to be talking about what you prepared for us, and what is that?
So I have been watching this new thing that actually old man Cronkite turned me on to. It's on Amazon Prime. It's called the Aldebaran Mysteries, and I'm going to be talking about the Vril.
The Vril.
The Vril. V-R-I-L.
Okay.
And actually, this will be an ongoing thing. I've got a short little bit about the Vril today, and then next week we'll be talking about more. And all of this kind of, once all of the episodes play, all my little segments, it all
makes sense.
Well, it probably won't make sense, but it all comes together.
Okay, got you. Well, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with Cronkite's story. Then we're going to go into Elliot's articles. We're going to have listener text, and then the Jon Vance interview, and then we'll come back in segment 3 and talk about some recent UFO sightings.
That's exciting.
So, thank you very much. Told you we're having a long show today.
This is an exciting show.
And go ahead and take us out to break.
I'm going to go to break. I'll see y'all later.
Okay.
No, thank you for listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. If you would like to, you can call, text, or leave a voicemail, 606-373-3396. You can always email us, goose at heretotowbubblegum.com, or myself, Cronkite, at heretotowbubblegum.com. You can also message us on Facebook. Comment on any of the posts, message us directly. And
you can also email Ed. You can also email Ned and Elliot. See, I was trying to think of their names together. Sometimes my brain's going so fast.
Elliot.
Yeah. Ed, if you're going to talk about both of them.
Right.
But you can email Ned and Elliot at heretotowbubblegum@yahoo.com. They will have a .com website email coming very soon. Still working on that. But in the meantime, you can email Elliot or Ned at heretotowbubblegum@yahoo.com.
And just put in the subject line attention to whichever one you want to talk to.
Sounds good. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. If Abraham Lincoln were alive, he'd listen. But he's dead.
Are you a horror movie fan? Yeah, I dig horror movies. Are you searching for a great internet horror talk radio show to listen to? Why, sure, that sounds quite spiffy. Then you need to tune into deadpit.com. It's the original horror talk radio show. Dead Pit is a show by the fans and for the fans. Uncensored and unbiased opinions are the goal of the show, giving fans honest reviews on new films and vintage classics of the horror genre. Make deadpit.com your #1 horror station destination.
You're listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum, recorded from a secret location in the city that moves mountains.
Greetings.
We come in peace.
Aliens land in our area.
All right.
What are some of the people on weekends going to get drunk and do?
Shoot it.
They're going to go out. I'm going to go out here and shoot at this ship. Our next email is from Cronkite Lover from North Carolina.
Hey now.
Cronkite, you are ear and eye candy.
Be sure to check out HereToChewBubblegum.com.
So, how'd you like a little Oko Yono music during the break? How
is she popular?
I have no clue.
I don't understand that.
She was popular because of John Lennon. How did we even get started talking about that? Oh, we were talking about what we're going to be talking about Wednesday when we come in to record and stuff on the midweek moment.
She's an acquired taste.
Yes.
All right, so let me ask you a question. Have you seen the Aldebaran mystery on Amazon?
No, I have not, but I will add that.
All right, so I've been trying to slowly watch this, and it was actually something that old man Cronkite turned me on to, and it's very dry, but it is just a wealth of knowledge. It's pretty cool. So have you ever heard? And this is going to be a multiple segment, for the next few weeks. But have you ever heard of the Vril, the secret society?
A little bit, but not a lot.
Okay. So the Nazis came from Middle Earth.
Okay.
How do you like
Middle
that?
Earth.
Middle Earth.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Are you talking about like hell? The Nazis came from hell?
No, that would be.
I actually believe that.
That would be Low Earth.
So okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Middle Earth. So they were the middleman.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah. So this kind of goes into secret societies and things like that, and it kind of ties into what we were talking about. The Nazis were very wrapped up in the UFO world.
Right. So
in 1871, under an anonymous cover, the writer-politician Edward Bulwer Lytton, 1871, published the novel Vril, The Power of the Coming Race. It is now one of the most famous for coining the phrase, "The pen is mightier than the sword," and the opening line, "It was a dark and stormy night." But Vril 2 has had a long afterlife. A conflation of Werner-esque, hollow earth, sci-fi, photo-occult theories, and Darwinism. It's narrated by an American who stumbles on an underground race, descended from ancient Aryans, that's harnessed and source of infinite power called Vril. Its possessors, the Vril Yah, have transcended war, envy, and even democracy to establish a classless utopia. But of course, they have a dark side. So, we were talking about
dark side.
kind of off the air there about the, the Vril. They were kind of sent here to make this utopia,
right?
A society where no one works, no one does anything, everybody's just happy. You know what I mean?
They need to come to Eastern Kentucky. There's already a lot of people that don't work.
Yeah, I agree. We're well on our way. We're almost there.
You know what's worse than going to your family reunion and seeing your family?
Seeing all your exes?
No.
Oh.
that is a good one, though. But what's worse than that is going to court on Tuesdays and seeing all your family.
Very true. So the myth of the Vril was quickly co-opted by the same Victorian mystics who inspired it, then passed it down to the hands of the nativist German cults. One of them, the Thule Society, backed Hitler and the Nazis. After the war, writers both pro and anti-Hitler theorized that the Fuhrer's impatience with occultists notwithstanding, something called the Vril Society had actually engineered his rise. In a 1960 book, two French authors asserted that the Nazis had sought to build UFOs powered by Vril, which now we talked about Vril as like a fluid type of energy.
Yes.
From there, it wasn't too much of a leap for others to suggest that perhaps Hitler had actually fled to Antarctica, made contact with an underground Aryans, and began plotting a vril-powered reconquest. A few influential Holocaust deniers celebrated the coming of the Fourth Reich, while more recent American writers have incorporated the theory into the right-wing New World mainstream of conspiracy thought. In short, the Nazis and or aliens are already here. So, essentially, the vril. All right, so the Aldebarans, the vril are here. They contact the Aldebarans, all that. So the vril are the female of the race, and they grow their hair to like down to their feet, and that's their antenna to contact the Aldebaran. So essentially, they were sent here to make the utopia, and basically what it kind of goes into is that Hitler used them to, which now we've talked about Nazi Germany finding crafts and things like that, and that's kind of how we kind of suspect that they had these, flying saucers and kind of had them made their leaps in technology well before anyone else in the world. So this utopia, that these vril were sent here to make this utopia, and Hitler used it to start World War II. And so, do you know what the Hannibal is?
No.
The Hannibal is
Gesundheit.
the flying saucers of the World War II.
Okay, got you. The Nazi bell stuff.
Yeah. So there's actually they actually talk about there was a whole squadron of these Hannibals that shot down like 150 bombers, but no one ever said anything about it. Because I guess nobody knew about it.
Okay.
Because everybody got
Well,
killed.
you go back and look at General Robert Byrd when he had led the expedition to Antarctica, and they had to retreat because of that.
They were and so the vril supposedly were sent here to make a utopia, or they came here to make a utopia, and Hitler used their powers for evil, and then they fled to Antarctica. Supposedly that's where some of the Nazis went as well.
Right.
It goes on to say something along the lines of there was a moon base built in the late 30s, where a lot probably went there, maybe even still are there, and then traveled from there wherever into the cosmos. But this is just kind of like a background on the vril. Now, next week we'll talk more about how this kind of goes more into their workings with the Nazis. And I realize that a lot of stuff we talk about is Nazi related, and that's not, we're not Nazis.
No, they were so advanced.
They are wrapped up in every
They were so
UFO.
advanced.
Yeah, it is nuts how crazy they are in with everything.
I'll 100% honesty right now. I think that the Nazis did recover a craft in 1936 in the Dark Forest, and that's how they became so advanced. I think due to that craft, that's how we got on the moon.
Yeah. Well, and even after the war, and I think 1945, like directly after the war, there was a successful flight of a flying saucer, and it was a vril ship that had been
captured.
Well, no, it wasn't actually there, but they had been reverse engineered, and they made one. The Nazis had Germany made one. This is on the record now because supposedly there's a whole squadron of Hannibals out there that we don't know about, but it's something called like the V7 or S7 or something like that. But it actually made a flight from Germany to Prague, and it was successful. So they used the technology from the vril to essentially conquer the world.
Right.
Thank God that didn't happen. But also the vril probably decided, hey, this is I see what they're doing. Let's bounce. You know what I mean?
Because they were evil and not good. They didn't want to create the
right. And if you think about Nazi Germany when Hitler was coming to power, he was all about trying to empower the people. You know, we're in an economic decline. We are good people. We're trying to. He was a master manipulator. I mean, you look how many people he convinced to do what he did.
Yeah, and he was, and if he used that same aspect, and if he was a fisherman, he would be a masturbator. Baiting the hook, masturbator.
Yes.
So it took you a moment to get that, right?
No, I got it.
You can go ahead and laugh. You don't think that's funny?
It's hilarious.
I think it's funny. We're going to go straight into Elliot's article. Do you want to introduce Elliot, or do you want me to set it up?
Well, no, you can set it up.
Okay. This week on Elliot's articles, we'll have his last installment talking about the Montauk. So, Elliot, take it away.
Take it away, Elliot.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you may be listening. This is Elliot with Elliot's Articles on the Here to Chew Bubblegum podcast. Now, this week, we are going to finish up our series on the Montauk Project. As we mentioned last week, von Neumann had sent the Cameron brothers on a mission to go back in time and destroy the Eldridge. But that had not happened. Of course, if you're already going back in time, you don't necessarily have to leave right away. You can spend whatever amount of time you need to in the present doing missions for the Montauk Project, and that's what happened here. Before returning to the past, Duncan and Al were sent on a number of missions for the project. In transit on one of these missions, Duncan went down a side tunnel, which theoretically should be impossible, and ended up with a group of aliens. Al Bielek ended up in the same tunnel soon afterwards. The aliens revealed that they required a piece of delicate equipment to be retrieved from the saucer kept at Montauk. This was supposed to have been a crystal instrument related to the drive of the ship. The drive was later given to the aliens. When asked about working relationships with alien entities, Preston Nichols responded, "Much of the technology that was used at the Montauk Project was derived from a number of alien races. The Montauk chair was based on a prototype given by the Syrians. The Delta T antenna used for bending time was from a treaty with the Orions." When Preston Nichols was pressed further that if he was referring to the treaty with aliens that some people say that Franklin Delano Roosevelt had made, Preston Nichols responded, "Roosevelt definitely made a treaty with the Orions, exchanging freedom of movement for technology secrets. The Orions are a highly advanced race who control the other alien race that people call the Greys. The Greys are responsible for most abductions of people and cattle mutilations, too. Many of the underground bases throughout the world have Greys living in them, along with some military personnel." When asked about who the Syrians were and whether or not they were benevolent or malevolent, Preston Nichols said, "The Syrians are relatively neutral, though they also seem to have some sort of treaty and communication with the Earth's governments. We think that they disagree with the Orions on a number of issues, but that they are unwilling to fight them. There's a rumor that they once lost a great battle with the Orions." Now, this next part can get a little confusing, so please try to follow along, and I'll try to explain it to the best of my ability. But after their alien encounter in a side tunnel, remember all of this is from the Alien Impact book by Michael Kraft. After their alien encounter in a side tunnel, Al and Duncan were returned to the Eldridge in a mid-experiment in 1943. They smashed the equipment, and the ship reappeared 4 hours later to observers. For some still unknown reason, just before the electromagnetic distortion faded, Duncan again jumped overboard, leaving Al, who was known as Edward Cameron at the time, behind. Preston and Al believed that he had been brainwashed to return back to the Montauk of the 1980s to serve the project. Al gave his report to his superiors during the past. These, of course, were not believed, especially by von Neumann, and he was given a leave of absence. Later, he was thoroughly brainwashed to forget that he had ever been involved. After Edward Cameron had aged, the same agency that was tracking the other Philadelphia experiment survivors employed a sophisticated technique to transfer his consciousness into a baby of the Bielek family. Evidently, someone had decided that Al was to be used again in some capacity, perhaps because of his pivotal role on the Eldridge. Now he was truly Al Bielek, yet he had flashes of memory from the earlier life as Edward Cameron, and of course he was still on call as some sort of sleeper agent. Meanwhile, back in the future, Duncan was also getting a new body. After he'd arrived back at Montauk, his body started to age at an accelerated rate. In a short while, he was an old man. In order to preserve him, he was shifted back some decades. Now, Preston had met the post-Montauk Duncan sometime after his own buried memories began to resurface. After he mysteriously appeared on the scene, Duncan quickly became Preston's assistant in his private lab. Preston grew suspicious, though, and took Duncan to the now-closed Montauk base where they walked around. Not only did Duncan begin recalling some of the events in the past, but he also remembered that he had been programmed to kill Preston later and destroy his lab. He vowed to resist the programmers, and he and Preston would become allies. Al Bielek's story of remembrance was quite different. He already knew Preston and Duncan well from the annual Psychotronic conference and that they all attended. One night at home, he watched on television a movie called The Philadelphia Experiment. As he watched, he noticed that some of the details were wrong, and then that his own memories came flooding back. He traveled to see Preston and Duncan to tell them. "I went up to them," Al said. "I think that I was one of the crewmen on the Philadelphia Experiment, and that both of you were involved in it too. They looked at me and they said, 'We know. We've just been waiting for you to remember.'" Now, over the years, there's been a lot of people who've got onto Montauk Base and taken lots of videos, lots of photos. And in the book, it describes one of the videos. Preston talks about a tape that he has of the Montauk Base. The base, as viewed through Preston's tape, seemed vast and dark, permeated with a brooding atmosphere of evil. How much of this was subjective and based on the story that we've heard? Well, we'll never know, really. But there was one dramatic scene of a grieving Duncan recovering lost memories while in a long bunker full of metal cages. Remembering that it was here that the Montauk boys were tortured and brainwashed, he broke down into loud sobs. The videotape also showed what Preston referred to as an electromagnetic afterimage of the Beast. Now, what is the Beast exactly? Well, in the picture, you can see a man-shaped black blur standing in a corner of that picture. But who or what was this Beast? The Beast caused the end of the project. Worried that the project was reaching apocalyptic proportions, Preston, Duncan, and others formed a cabal to sabotage the operation. According to Preston, it was a contingency program that only Duncan could activate from the chair. When the time was right, Preston approached him and whispered the triggering phrase, "The time is now." Hearing this phrase, Duncan let loose a monster from his subconscious, and the transmitter actually manifested a hairy monster. It was a big, hairy, hungry, and nasty. Think Bigfoot, Sasquatch, a Yeti. It showed up somewhere on the base. It would eat anything that it could find and smashed everything in sight. Several different people saw it, but everyone described a different beast. It was either 9 or 30 foot tall, depending on whoever saw it. No searchers were amazed to see what looked like... No one was in a frame of mind to calmly or collectively analyze the exact nature of the beast. While the personnel fled wildly in all directions, Preston's supervisor ordered him to shut down the power. Since turning off the generators had no effect, he was forced to begin ripping out wires and even using an acetylene torch to cut through shielded cables. Finally, the beast faded back into nothing. The beast is interesting as a description of the relationship between big hairy monsters and the subconscious. According to Preston Nichols, other similar creatures seen around the world may also be related to this phenomenon. The psychic nature of the being accounts for its ability to continue to manifest on sensitive film. Now, all through this series, I've teased a story about Americans capturing Nazi gold. And before I finish, I want to go over that. In 1944, an American troop train went through a French tunnel carrying $10 billion of Nazi gold bullion. The train was dynamited in the tunnel while carrying 51 U.S. soldiers. General Patton was in Europe at the time and investigated the quote-unquote accident, but could find no explanation or the missing gold either. His investigation may relate to persistent rumors that Patton's strange death was an assassination. I'm told, this is from Preston Nichols, that the gold ended up at Montauk, where it financed the project for many years. This was gold worth in today's market approximately $200 billion. After that ran out, financing was taken over by the Krupp family, who controlled the ITT Corporation. So, yes, according to Preston Nichols, Nazi gold helped to fund the Montauk Project. Now, we've talked about the project, we've talked about all of the Montauk boys and what all happened, but what did they do exactly? Well, according to Preston Nichols, because of what went on at Montauk, and even during the Philadelphia experiment back in the 1940s, there is now a closed loop in time. Preston Nichols said, "We are currently in a time loop. This loop extends from when the Montauk researchers penetrated into the past up until where they penetrated into the future. It's all fixed, and it seems to be unalterable. This all goes as far forward as the year 2012 AD. Attempts to journey to times after this seem to show a different kind of reality." Excited questions from the audience drew out more information. Evidently, the Montauk boys were sent to an empty square in a deserted city. In the middle of the square stood a pedestal upon which rests a metal statue of a horse. At the base of the statue is a plaque that bears the date of 2012 AD, along with a message. The message was different every time, but the boys were constantly being sent to record it. It is strange that most, including the Mayans, had 2012 listed as the end of the world. And this is what the Montauk Project found. Not that the world had ended, but that basically all kinds of timelines and alternate realities branched out from the year 2012. A surprising number of authors have spoken about the end of time in similar terms, including the designation of 2012 as the big year, possibly lifted from the ancient Mayan calendar that listed as the end date. There's some evidence that ancient calendric systems of North, Central, and South America have a common origin and endpoint. This may explain why the Hopi, Aztecs, Mayans, and other native peoples believe the world is nearing its end, and it does not explain what we are to expect. Maybe it wasn't a physical end of the world, but maybe it was the end of a timeline and the beginning of a new alternate reality. Hence, what we had been talking about on the show lately with the Mandela effect. It's kind of interesting if you think about it in that way. Now, the last story from the Montauk Project I will tell you about is apparently the face carved into Mars. This face is apparently carved from a mile-high rock plateau. A mile or two away lies a group of large stone mesas that look like a cluster of pyramids. Much has been made of the sophisticated computer techniques that showed what appears to be an unnatural symmetry in the structures. After the publication of Richard Hoagland's book, The Monuments of Mars, A City on the Edge of Forever, there has been growing international interest in a closer look. NASA, unwilling to admit officially that there's anything to the mystery, seems closer to bending. It's a safe bet that an upcoming Mars mission a few years away will find some reason to explore Cydonia. So what does this all have to do with the Montauk Project, you ask? Well, according to Preston Nichols, there's already a human colony on Mars. Mars was interesting to the Montauk researchers because they knew that there was old technology there. According to Preston Nichols' sources, the entrances to the face and the pyramids were not accessible from the surface due to their construction. The Montauk researchers decided that the best approach would be to project a time portal right into the center of the Martian underground complex. There was little risk as they had set up a remote television camera to look through before anyone attempted to enter. Duncan was part of the team that eventually went through to Mars in 1982 or 1983. They don't know exactly what they did with what they found there. Duncan has tried to access the information, but it is deeply buried and hard to contact. Now, then one of the most controversial things that Preston Nichols said is they actually encountered Jesus while they were there, and Jesus programmed him to fill some role in the future. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe everything they talk about, but it is interesting nonetheless. So yes, the Montauk Project. Craziness that has everything in it. You've got Nazi gold, you've got the city of Atlantis, where the Montauk boys visited with their time tunnels. You have the end of the Civil War, where, according to Preston Nichols, the Montauk boys went back and gave the strategy that won the war for the North. So yeah, all kinds of different things. UFOs, Bigfoot, crazy psychic monsters, time travel, invisibility, just anything and everything you would want in a conspiracy can be found in the Montauk Project. Now, whether you believe it or not, that's a whole different story. And like I said, I'm a skeptic. I wanted to bring out the Montauk Project because, like I've said before, it is the thing that got me involved in conspiracies. I loved to read about it at the time. I still love to read about it because even if it's not true, it's a very, very well put together story. So, ladies and gentlemen, Elliot's Articles presents to you the Montauk Project in its full capacity now. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I think Goose has set up an email address at heretotruebubblegum@yahoo.com, and you just put attention Elliot and ask me any questions that you want. I'll do as much research as I can. Next week, we will start a new topic, a new series. If you all have any suggestions on what that should be, please send those to me. Once again, dear listeners, thank you for listening. Please stay vigilant. Elliot out.
Fascinating segment. Thank you very much, Elliot, as always. Again, I said, this week format's going to be a little bit different than normal. Mm-hmm. We're going to go straight into listener text, and then we're going to go to the Jon Vance interview.
Exciting.
And then after that interview, we'll take a break, come back, and talk about recent UFO sightings, read our question of the week responses, and have our new question of the week. Do you want to start out on listener text?
Sure. So Art Bell fan says, Goose, Cronkite, Ned, and Elliot, thank you all for the show that you do. Nothing can ever take the place of Art, but you four make his legacy live on. Well, that's probably the nicest thing anyone has
Yes,
ever
it
said.
is. Yes, it is.
While I'm sure he wouldn't like the crude humor, the fact that you talk about subjects that he held near and dear to his heart, I think he would approve. Roswell.
And I think he would get some laughs and chuckles out of the humor because he was a jokesman himself.
Sure.
So, Well, thank you very much, Art Bell fan. I like that one. I like that one.
That's probably the nicest thing anyone's ever said to us.
Yes, it is. Well, except for Katie from Germany last week, the U.S. soldier. That was a good one.
Yeah. So the rest of you people, step it up.
Step it up, people. Let's see. Unknown says, Cronkite, I want to say hello and tell you that I love the show. You and Goose do a great job. I look forward to meeting you at some events this year.
Awesome.
Well, thank you very much, Unknown. There was actually an event I saw that somebody had shared on our, they hadn't shared it on, it was on our timeline of our Here to Chew Bubblegum page. It was some paranormal event in Athens, Tennessee in March, towards the end of March, and I looked it up. I thought about trying to get us booked there. But it's like I think 3.5, 4 hours away. And I thought, it's on a Friday and Saturday. And I thought, well, if we could only, and I don't know what your schedule was, but I was thinking, well, if we could do it 2 days, we'll be tired when we come back to the show on Sunday. If we go down on a Friday, we would be tired when we come back, So, and it just being so far away, and it might have been more than 4 hours.
Listen, I'm down for whatever.
So, but this is I think the first year they're going to have one. So maybe next year we'll be going to that. And I apologize, I can't remember the name of that one.
That'd be cool.
So, but definitely be doing some of those.
Good deal. So Seth says, good morning, afternoon, or evening. I love it when Elliot says that. I'm really enjoying his parts on the show. You said before that you'd have him on the studio for a roundtable discussion. When can we expect that?
Yes, we will. Thank you very much, Seth. That is a good question. I don't know. Maybe March, April, we may do a roundtable discussion. What do you think?
I think that sounds
good. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. I think you have one more. So don't be putting yours away. Yeah, you skipped one.
I did, didn't I?
Yes, you sure did. But it's my turn now. So
POS today.
Tammy, 606 fan here. Let me rephrase that. Tammy's the one writing.
Okay.
And she starts out by saying 606 fan here.
All right.
And for those of you not familiar, that is the area code where we record the show, where Bunker Studios is at. So anyway, Tammy, 606 fan here, says you guys need to think of a way to promote more locally. I heard about your show on a message board, Roswell. Tammy, thank you very much for that suggestion, and we are actually in the process of doing that. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks we will have some news to share with our audience here on the show.
Exciting. Show fan 1 says, now let me ask you a question. Do you copy and paste these, or is this a typo?
No, I copy and paste those.
Okay, so this is going to be a good one. All right. Show fan 1 says, I found out about your show last week. While I don't find your southern accents eat candy, I must say that the show is good. See, now, had you said that I was ear candy, I would have corrected your eat candy to ear candy. But
Okay,
I won't.
but you're not going to do that.
No, I'm going to show your typo to everybody.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you, Show Fan One, for your kind words. We try hard.
Did you read the last line though? I must say that the show is good.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear you read that.
Yeah, I must say that the show is good.
Okay.
We do
Eat
appreciate
candy.
Yeah.
No, see, when I collect these, I copy and paste them, print them off, so they're all together.
Yeah.
You know.
Listen, guys, can't help our accents.
I have saw you eat candy.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, the sounds you make when you eat candy is ear candy to me.
You know what? It's a good time.
Num 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 num.
How about all? Listen, I mean, we can't help our accents.
No.
But it is.
No, we can't.
It is. It's a curse and a blessing.
There you go.
I'll just say that. But
there you go.
Thank you for the kind words, and we'll try to keep up the good work. We really enjoy doing the show for you all.
Let's see. Dean says, Goose, Ned, and Cronkite. I wrote in before. I enjoy the show and find it entertaining and educational. Ned needs a microphone. I know that he doesn't talk often, but when it does, it seems like he has something very important to say, and it adds to the show. Well, it does add to the show. It's debatable on if it's very important or not. I'm just joking, Ned. I need more Ned, and Ned said.
Well, the thing is, we've been trying to get
Ned is up, I think, for Ned said.
Is he?
Correct?
I don't know. I mean, I've been trying to get
him. Last week when he came back, we had a mic and stuff for him. Everything, set up, and Ned didn't say a whole lot last week.
I don't know that. I'm not sure.
I think Ned will do it. What do you think?
I'm starting to lose faith.
You're starting to lose faith?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to go to the Jon Vance interview.
All right.
And then we'll take a short break right after that interview.
Hello, listeners of Here to Chew Bubblegum. I am Goose, and I'm here with a very special guest of the show, Jon Vance. Jon is in Pike County, and he has had several paranormal experiences, and with UFOs, possibly Bigfoot, and the ghost as well. Jon, thank you very much for coming on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Goose. How about you, brother?
I am doing good. Today is Wednesday. I'm not liking this weather too good. I liked it better yesterday when it was like 64 degrees.
Hey, that was me. I went on a hike there yesterday myself.
Now you were telling me just a little bit before we started the interview that when you went on your hike yesterday, you come across an unusual track. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, where I'm living at right now is where I first had my UFO sightings. I live about a mile up in the holler, and It happened at the mouth of the holler. But that's where I went hiking at because supposedly there's an old cemetery way back up on the mountain. Well, we went and looked about half a mile down below there to try to, park somewhere to get up there. But we never did find it. But right towards the top of the mountain, there was a water creek, ditch that came down. There was a waterfall and all that we'd seen, a small type. But right through that area, something big had been sliding down through there. I mean, I followed the trail all the way down, but right around that water where it was still wet and stuff, and, the ground was a little wet, I seen a print. And my wife and my 5-year-old was with me. And, I took photos and everything, even have a stick to, for the measurement. And it was at least about 18 to 19 inches in length. And it was a bare, naked, human-looking, big old footprint, probably 6 inches wide, I'd say.
Wow. Were you able to make out the ridges on the heel or the lower part of the foot or the bottom of the foot?
To be honest, I couldn't see a whole lot of detail on it.
Right.
It might have been there a couple of days. I ain't for sure, but you could make out toe prints on this thing and the whole outline of the foot. And I've seen plenty of bear prints. I've seen elk prints, deer, coon, possum. I've hiked the mountains here in eastern Kentucky ever since I was 3 or 4 years old. I was allowed to go up in the hills by myself, but it was just very odd, Me and my wife, when we was going down through there, because it was a very steep embankment. I mean, we was on top of rock cliffs yesterday, hiking at the top of the ridge line. That's where I like to go. And we was, on our way down because we couldn't find the cemetery, and it was probably about maybe 25 minutes before edge of dark. And it was just so odd because it was a very steep embankment. You could see something very wide. I mean, it looked like 4 or 5 foot wide, tracks slid down just a little bit. Not like a slide, but like, kind of foot sliding down.
Right.
And right across that ditch line, about 3 foot from that ditch is where it was located.
Did you hear anything like branches breaking like up ahead of you in the distance? Or
not yesterday. We didn't, but it was either right before that or right after that. I was just thinking about that today. Me and my wife was talking. My dog, we took our Siberian Husky that we rescued with us yesterday, and she got on the scent of something and was tugging me like crazy. And we went maybe 150 yards, if that, from the top of the mountain. And, this is a pretty secluded place where I'm at, and I'm not even a mile from the Fish Trap Lake.
Right.
And, big body of water, it's a man-made lake, if I ain't mistaken. But up in this holler now, just this past summer, I heard the strangest sounds out back. We was living up on a hillside right behind where we're living at now. And my dogs was going nuts. And it was like a holler, whoo, but not no owl. And me and my wife both was listening to this. If I ain't mistaken, I might have tried to get an audio recording.
Yeah,
I'll have to look into that. I have many photos, videos of, things I've seen in the sky and all that. I'll have that through it.
Before we continue with the interview, I'm going to send you an invitation. We'd like to have you in the studio sometime. We do have a lot of listeners that are interested in Bigfoot. We've not really talked a whole lot about Bigfoot, but that's something we're definitely going to do. I'm going to try to get Cronkite to go out and actually, when the weather warms up, Cronkite's not a fan of hiking or even walking for that matter. He hates exercise. But I'm going to try to get him to do some YouTube videos with us, and we would love to have you in that as well. Later on when it warms up and so forth.
That'd be awesome. I know some real good places to, if you'd want to try to investigate, the Bigfoot. I think some good locations. Well,
we will definitely get up with you on that. So what year did you have your first experience, your UFO experience, and where was it at? You said it was close to where you live at now?
I live at, it's called Sloan's Branch is the name of the place, in Shelbyville, Kentucky, in Pike County. And it, like I said, at the mouth of the hollow, it ain't maybe a mile and a half from Fishcraft Lake.
Right.
But we was up in there staying about maybe 200 yards just up in the holler. And me and my wife and a friend walked out to smoke a cigarette, and I was sitting right on the steps, at the edge of right at the front yard, and they was standing right in front of me, just a couple feet, in the yard. Well, we just sitting there talking, and my friend looked up. He said, "John, what is that?" And as I look up, I see this bright, solid light, and it's not like the moon or any bright light you can try to compare it to. Does not compare to the brightness of this. Was right above us, not even, maybe at the top of the tree line, not even 1,000 feet. I know that.
So you're not far from a body of water, correct?
No. And where two rivers meet at is just maybe a quarter of a mile down below me, and I've done different research into that. They say, where two bodies of water meet at, maybe something with, I don't know if it's got anything to do with energy or, something
right.
like that.
Based on mine and Cronkite and Ned's research, we also, and it goes along with yours, we have found that bodies of water, power plants, or any military bases or temporary stations, it seems like there's more activity that people see in those areas.
And it's like some reason they're more attracted to that.
Exactly. I think it was last week when we mentioned that. That they were attracted to bodies of water and so forth. What was your reaction when you had your first sighting? I mean, were you scared? Were you just excited?
Excitement don't even begin to explain the way I felt. I dropped my phone, was in my lap, and that's one time I must say I had my phone on me, but it was just sitting on my lap. I stood up, didn't think nothing about the phone. I dropped my cigarette and all, and started following this object, which it went down towards the mouth of the hollow, and cut a left, which is like a dead man's curve, a real short curve.
Right.
And it was right above the tree line, which the mountain down there ain't probably not even 1,000 foot up to the top, you know, where this little ridge part is. But it went around the curve there, and we followed. We followed this object about halfway down, and it's a big straight stretch, and it's right where we went hiking at yesterday is where we went. But from mountain to mountain, you could probably fit 10 or more football fields, you know, lengthwise, just the wideness of it.
Right,
and the
which
river,
is good,
you know,
good distance.
Well, and there's a river right in the middle of these two big open, you know, pieces of land. And that river, if you follow it up, goes to the fish track. We follow this object way 3/4 through that straight stretch. Here comes 3 to 4 more, if I can remember right. It was 3 to 4 more objects identical to this one. They're doing all these maneuvers in the sky, and excitement don't even say what I'm feeling now. I start screaming, you know, come to me. I want to know what this is. I want to know the truth. You know, what is going on? All right, these things then, after they're doing all these freaking wild moves in the sky, they form a sphere, a circle in the sky around one another. And it wasn't like electricity. It was like distortion. It's hard to explain that part, I guess. But
right.
this object comes out of this sphere, and it blocks out the whole night sky. I mean, as big as what I could stretch my arms, it blackened out the night sky. It was a dark night, but it wasn't that dark. You couldn't make out the colors of the object, but you could see the silhouette, the dimensions of it. And it was more like a rectangular like object. It reminded me of, you know, like the Avengers movie, Airship Carrier.
Yeah.
That flew. It was bigger than that. It had to be twice the size of probably what that object, what that is.
Right.
And it's not making.
Did you get to record the first sighting?
No, sir. No. We did not, unfortunately. Like I said, I dropped my phone, and at the time, that was the only phone me and my wife either one had. And if I ain't mistaken, my friend probably didn't even have one. But,
let me. What year was that?
This was 2014.
Right.
Because it was right before my wife got pregnant. Yeah. And you know, the big object that came out did not make a sound, and this object wasn't even 500 feet above us, and it just keeps on just tracking right down the sky towards there's a gas station and stuff away from the fish trap, and we follow this object, but it didn't happen all like that. It's like I'm missing a lot that I should be able to recall because I have a very good memory on things. But there's what did you notice once you were able? Was there a time gap in the time that you saw it from the time that you realized? Me and my friend both have spoke about this, about how we seem like there's a loss of time in that. Because, you know, me and him spoke just this summer. Me and him was talking, and he gave me a ride home, and I was telling him it's odd, but it's like they call out to me. But it's like vice versa. If I can get into this state of mind, I can reach out and ask. I have these little things I say, and if I'm there in my mind, they show up every time, and it's not no hallucination. There's been numerous people who have witnessed this, but my friend, he went nuts. Oh my God, John, what is that? Is that an angel? But I did not see no wings.
Now, since you had that first encounter in 2016, the videos that you posted on YouTube are incredible. They're incredible, unbelievable. How many encounters have you had since 2014?
1,000 or more. I mean, no joke. I have seen 20 or more outside at one time. I mean, no joke. I've seen craft-looking objects. I've seen orb-looking objects. I've seen cigar-shaped-looking objects. I've seen these flashing like orbs that morph. I have photos I can show you, and it looks like this thing is it is morphing into something different. In some photos, it looks like a cigar shape. In some photos, it's a rectangular shape with 4 lights on it. And it's a video. It was the sighting that I first videoed that was confirmed by MUFON to be an unidentified flying object. I have emails from the state director of Kentucky for MUFON who was freaked out by what I sent her. She said, John, they are what you say they are. They are UFOs and not of this world. You can take that to the bank. And she told me yeah, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine. That is great. That is great. Are you familiar with the encounter that happened in Pike County in October 2012?
All right. Well, the investigator who worked with me, who helped confirm my sighting, who was very paranoid, scared, didn't want to communicate too much with me through emails or anything because of the NSA, twice the size of the CIA, he said.
Right.
He was one, Mr. Mason. He was the investigator through MUFON who investigated the 2012 sighting.
Okay. Did he ever tell you that they said it was an internet balloon? Have you ever heard that story?
A balloon? Oh yeah. I've heard. I've heard that. I haven't. To be honest, I haven't looked too much into that one, which I know until you mentioned it. But I know I've seen photos of it, and to be honest, I have seen similar objects myself.
Well, and we've had several people that's contacted us that have saw similar objects too. The point I was making is that that was in 2012. There were things called internet balloons that basically in rural areas, they send them up and they give people Wi-Fi and internet connections. They didn't really start testing those until I think it was 2017 or 18. So I very seriously doubt that was an internet balloon. And
like Roswell.
Yeah, and I've also had people on the show that's like up on the newest tech and gadgets and all of that. And, they said, and they claim if Google or whoever was testing an internet balloon, they wouldn't start out in eastern Kentucky. And you'd let people at the airport or, your local police department or state police post know that you're doing that just in case they get any calls. Well, none of that happened. And I don't think that was an internet balloon. And, your reports and statements to MUFON, thank you very much, my friend, because we need more people like that, that when they see something, say something,
Exactly. That's what's wrong with the world. People got tunnel vision.
About today's show, long show. I know you're tired. We actually are going, after this show, we're going to break, and we're going to be guest on the Fandom Squad podcast.
That's going to be exciting.
Yes, very exciting, and we will post a link to that show on our Facebook page. Again, we're going to be guest. Goose and Cronkite will be on the Fandom Squad podcast. I want to say special thanks to Carlin for all the voiceover work and for allowing us to use the music of Flannery, CK Uncle Bill, and ST3B over at deadpit.com, and T-Shirt Joe at fastcustomshirts.com. Do you have anything else to say?
I do not. Look forward to seeing you guys, or you guys seeing me on Wednesday.
There you go.
Talking to you guys on Sunday.
There you go.
Everybody have a good week.
That'll do it for this week. We'll see you next week. And until then, so long for now.
Thanks for listening to Here to Chew Bubblegum. Tune in next time as we dive deeper into things the government doesn't want us to know.